Hello, years 3 and 4, and welcome back to your next chapter of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Doesn't seem like 2 minutes since the last one. As you can see, Mr. Thompson's got his fire going again because it's pretty chilly outside. In fact, it's even snowing. This week's class reader links in with the S of Vipers. Now, the S in Vipers stands for summarize. Does anyone know what summarize means? What does it mean to make a summary or to summarize something? Well, to summarize means to make a short statement about the main points. So if we were describing to a friend what Fantastic Mr. Fox was about, and we didn't have the story in front of us, we'd have to use the main points in the story to describe to them what the story was about. Now, this week's summarized questions are: number 1, summarize the story so far in one word, but crucially, explain why you have used that word. So is there one word we could pick out to explain the story, and why would we use that word? And number 2, draw an emotion graph for the farmers, Boggis, Bunce and Bean, from chapters 5 and 6. So, does the emotion graph rise up when they're angry and slope down when they're a bit more relaxed? How does that emotion graph change over chapters 5 and 6? Listen carefully to chapter 6 of our story this week, and it's called The Race. Now there began a desperate race, the machines against the foxes. In the beginning, the hill looked like this, and there's a picture of a pretty big hill there, with the tractors, the big machines with their buckets chasing. After about an hour, the machines bit away more and more soil from the hilltop. It looked like this. And you can see that that hill's getting significantly smaller. Sometimes the foxes would gain a little ground and the clanking noises would grow fainter and fainter. And Mr. Fox would say, "We're going to make it. I'm sure we are." But then a few moments later, the machines would come back and the crunch of the almighty shovels would get louder and louder. Once the foxes actually saw the sharp metal edge of one of the shovels as it scraped up the earth just behind them. "Keep going, my darlings," panted Mr. Fox. "Don't give up." "Keep going," the fat Boggis shouted to Bunce and Bean. "We'll get him any moment now." "Haven't you caught sight of him yet?" Bean yelled back. "Not yet," shouted Boggis, "but I think you're close." "I'll pick him up with my bucket," shouted Bunce. "I'll chop him to pieces." But by lunchtime the machines were still at it, and so were the poor foxes. The hill now looked like this. See, the hill is pretty non-existent anymore. The farmers didn't stop for lunch. They were too keen to finish the job. "Hey there, Mr. Fox," yelled Bunce, leaning out of his tractor. "We're coming to get you now." "Hope you've had your last chicken," yelled Boggis. "You'll never come prowling around my farm again." A sort of madness had taken hold of the three men. The tall, skinny Bean and the dwarfish, pot-bellied Bunce were driving their machines like maniacs, racing the motors and making the shovels dig at a terrific speed. The fat Boggis was hopping about like a dervish and shouting, "Faster! Faster!" By 5 o'clock in the afternoon, this is what had happened to the hill. It's now gone from being a hill shape to a hole shape. The hole the machines had dug was like a crater of a volcano. It was such an extraordinary sight that crowds of people came rushing out from the surrounding villages to have a look. They stood on the edge of the crater and stared down at Boggis and Bunce and Bean. "Hey there, Boggis! What's going on?" "We're after a fox." "You must be mad!" The people jeered and laughed, but this only made the three farmers more furious and more obstinate and more determined than ever not to give up until they had caught the fox. And that's the end of chapter 6. Okay, so you can find your Vipers questions today, your summarized questions, on your Purple Mash to-dos. Why not challenge yourselves after you've completed those 2 questions to come up with your own questions all about summarizing? Have a go. Good luck with that, years 3 and 4. Bye.